Hello again. Right, we're going to have a little talk about the most eco-friendly coffee maker I've ever come across. Now, I spent a lot of time in America when I was young, and I have had a love affair with coffee ever since, especially fresh coffee. And when I was bored one night looking through Etsy, a link came up about these coffee makers and coffee pourers. And I have to say, to be fair, wasn't over impressed with what was on there. So I decided that I was going to make myself a coffee maker out of some old tools and some bits I had laying around. And the reason why I did that is because I absolutely adore the simplicity of this coffee maker. And I'm a great believer in, like, my whole philosophy on life is keep it simple and you'll be a very happy man or person. And this is unbelievably simple. And what I like about it is that you don't need anything else other than some hot water and some cafetiere coffee to get a really half decent cup of coffee. Now, I've got one of these in my flat, the first one I ever made, and I use it twice, at least twice every day that I'm at home. And it just dishes out a top level, decent cup of fresh coffee. But what I really like about this is that there is no plastic. Now, I know plastic's a part of our lives, and we rely on it a lot. But when you consider that in a very short period of time, or at some point in the very near future, we're actually going to be drinking plastic in our drinking water, and our oceans are already unbelievably contaminated with this stuff. So what I like about this is that A, it doesn't need a permanent electricity supply, so it's not drawing electricity continuously. There are no plastics involved. There are no pods, there are no plastic housings, there's no manufacturing processes, there's no waste, and there's no filters, because the filter is actually a micro mesh stainless steel filter. Now, this coffee filter is about £6 or £7 from IKEA. You can't go wrong. It doesn't need to be replaced. You simply rinse it out under a cold tap and you're ready to go for the next one. Now, even old coffee is recyclable, because I've seen websites and YouTube videos on what people do with the old coffee. So even that is reusable. So the whole thing is very, very simple. Now, I made this one. This is the second one that I ever made. My mum fell in love with it, and it's been on her kitchen worktop ever since. So what I did was I've just gone down the kitchen. I've nicked her kettle, got my milk out the fridge, brought her coffee maker down here because I use this one when I'm here in the workshop. So just to prove to you how easy it is, all we need is some coffee and a scoop, which again, I like it strong. I made this out of a bit of old walnut that was laying around, so I made myself a clamp and a scoop. Keep the coffee fresh. And you need some hot water. Now, this is really interesting. Until I started getting into doing these, I had no idea that people took it that seriously, but there is a world championship coffee making competition, and I was watching some YouTube videos, and evidently a Japanese geezer won it either last year or the year before, using this type of machine or this type of maker. And I learned all about how to make coffee and how it works. So I didn't realise what blooming was. So what we're going to do not ever use boiling water. So I've let this boil and let it cool down a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to bloom the coffee, which means you just get it wet. So you put your first drop of coffee in there and you bloom it. So you're going to leave that for a few seconds, or half a second or half a minute or so, just for the coffee beans to gradually expand, and that evidently increases the flavour of what's going to go through it in a second. Now, once you've let it bloom, I'm going to do this a bit too quick, but I'll carry on. So we just put that in. Keep that going. And that basically is that. And that's how you make very eco-friendly cup of coffee. And I love it. It's so simple, so green, so eco-friendly, and it's virtually bomb-proof. Now, since I started making my first one, the second one, they're getting more and more extravagant and more complex, to the stage or the point now where I'm actually getting commissions for people to asking me to make these type of coffee makers for presents, because the latest ones I've been making I actually highlight with 24 karat gold and using various engine parts from vehicles and giving them a very industrial look. But they are, I think, phenomenally efficient. I love it. I use it all the time. And the great thing is that when you've made your coffee, because of the method you're using, that's pretty much drinkable straight away. You haven't got to wait for it to cool down. You haven't got to sit there blowing it, and it's not boiling hot, and you get a really good flavoured cup of coffee. Handsome. So once you've made your cup of coffee, which I have to say, it's good stuff. It will certainly keep you awake for the morning. That's it really. But if you look on the website or on maybe some other YouTube channels, videos, you'll see the different types of coffee makers that I've made. Now the challenge, my challenge to you, or anyone really, is I've been told that these might not be politically correct, but they're very blokey and quite industrial and masculine. And the biggest problem I've had is trying to come up with a design that is more feminine. So if anyone's got any ideas, drop a comment on the video. I'd love to hear from you, because it might just trigger a bit of inspiration so I can make something a little bit more fanciful for our lady friends. Anyway, if you're a single bloke, this is the best thing in the world. No washing up, instant coffee when you want it. So for people like me, it's perfect. You know, single bloke, 5'8", a little bit overweight, no children living at home. There you go. See you next time.